Teaching in isolation is burning you out. You cannot do this alone. What you need, my friend, is community. Hey, everybody, I'm Dr. O. I'm here to boost your confidence and your compassion so you can create a classroom that thrives. But here's the truth: you cannot create a classroom that thrives in isolation. So, in today's video, I'm going to talk about why teaching in isolation is burning out the best of us. And if you find value in this video, be sure to like and subscribe, comment down below, and turn on notifications so you don't miss another episode. So let's get into it. Teaching in isolation is burning you out. I remember a time where I actually questioned leaving the profession. I had been a teacher for almost 10 years and I switched up schools and I went to a new school for a couple of months and then I got switched to another school. Y'all know how that works. And I came from an amazing elementary school with the best community. I'm talking like I'm still friends with some of my coworkers back from 2001, 2002 when I first started teaching. Like good friends, like call me on the phone, happy Easter, Dr. O. Real good friends because this elementary school was truly team and family. There was a true community. I left that school and I went to a couple schools where there was zero community. When I say I felt like I was teaching in isolation, like I felt like there was nobody I could talk to. I felt my feelings weren't validated. I felt like there was no cohesion. It was almost like everybody came to do their job and leave. And here's the issue, and here's the problem with that when it comes to teaching. Teaching is about interactions, and how you interact with your colleagues seeps into how you interact in your classroom. And I'm not advocating and I'm not saying that you have to be BFFs with all your colleagues in order to create community because that's not true. Because your community for teaching may not be found in your school. Hence why I'm building a community. Shameless plug. Because your community for your teaching and for stewarding early childhood well may not be found in your building. But I had zero community. There was zero place to be transparent, zero place to be open and to be honest. And let me tell you, it dang sure was not safe. Case in point. So I felt like the administration was amazing as far as pedagogy, curriculum, and things like that. But as far as like climate and climate change and getting a grip on making this place feel safe, that's where I feel like they were lacking. But this one particular occasion, they decided to switch up a curriculum and they wanted to change. And because this curriculum was the new, latest, shiny, flashy, greatest thing since sliced bread, and every early childhood educator should just do this curriculum. My team and I had a conversation. We looked through the curriculum and we talked at the team meeting like, hey, this curriculum is not going to work for our families. It's just not going to work for our children. And here's the reasons why. So we talked about it. We talked about it. And we're like, hey, we need to talk to administration. We need to let them know that this is not a good move that you're trying to make. And we all were in agreement. All of us were in agreement about this curriculum. But we have a team meeting with the admin and our team. Now, this was a scheduled meeting, so it was regular because nobody wanted to like, oh, no, we don't need to set up a special meeting to talk about the curriculum because we'll talk about it at our next meeting, which I was like, okay, but I really feel like we should just call a special meeting to say, hey, this is how we feel. But if we're going to bring it up, in 2 weeks, that's fine. We got to bring it up because they're really trying to push this for next year. And this is not going to work for our families. We get in said meeting and the administration opens up with, we are so excited about this new curriculum. We just came from a training. They're talking all about what they've done with this curriculum and how they're super excited to move into this curriculum for the next year. Then they come to us and they say to us, well, what are your thoughts? Have you looked at it? Are you excited about it? These jokers were like, "Oh, we love it. We think it's great. We think it's awesome." I'm looking around the table like, "Am I in the twilight zone?" And I was looking around the table and I said, actually, we don't think this is a good fit for our students. While we think the curriculum itself is good, we just don't think it's going to be a good fit for our families." And the administration was like, "Oh, really? Y'all really think that?" These jokers hung me out to dry. They were like, "No, we think it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be great. We have some minor concerns, but nothing for you all to worry about. We're ready to move full steam ahead with this new curriculum." Bruh. I was like, "Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now?" And of course, we move forward with the curriculum the very next year, and it doesn't work for our families. Our families complain about it because it's not a good fit for our families, like we said. And then, roundabout December, we end up switching back to our old curriculum. So this is what I mean when I say this was not a safe space. This was not a community. This was very much a whatever the administration says, we're going to do it, but we very much hate the administration and we very much don't like what they're doing. And we're going to talk about them behind their back and we're not going to raise complaints and concerns with them, but we're just going to act like we're in high school. And so it was really challenging to be in that environment. It was also very challenging to try to move up in that environment and basically say, "Hey, I would like to take on some more responsibilities. I've taken these extra classes. I've taken these night classes. I've done this research. I've done this study. I really think we should shift and into this." And it was always a no, no, we're not doing that. We don't need to do that. Meanwhile, the kids are not getting the best that they can get. We're not giving our families the best that we can give our families. And although we're doing okay, I was like, we can do so much better. Like, this can be so much better. But no one was trying to listen to me. Has anyone ever felt like that? You feel like you want to grow in your profession as a teacher, and everybody's like, "We're good with business as usual." And not only are we good with business as usual, we're not even going to try to make the climate more positive. Like, we're going to engage in toxic behavior. And then when you don't engage in the toxic behavior, you're shunned. That's where I was at. And if you're in this space, this leads to serious burnout. There's self doubt because you're like, okay, maybe there's something wrong with me because no one's taking my ideas into consideration. There's a lack of growth. Even when you go to professional development and you come back with all this knowledge and you want to implement this stuff and you're met with barrier after barrier after barrier, and we don't need to do that here, you become emotionally exhausted. And you feel like my only alternative is leaving the field. But I've come to tell you that even if you find yourself emotionally exhausted, ready to quit, ready to leave, but you know deep down you're called, I have a solution. Because I was there. I literally was where you are. And I know I'm called to teach. I love teaching. I love my children. I love my families. But the environment that was surrounding me was so toxic, all the negativity, and the pay wasn't all that amazing. And the workload was overwhelming, coupled with lack of community. I was like, I have no choice. I have to prioritize my well being. I have to go do something else, even though this is really what I want to do. And I really thought that was my only recourse, to leave. But I'm here to tell you that it is not. It is not. If you get yourself in a good community where you can share how you feel, where you can get strategies on how to implement, and one of your strategies may be finding another school, finding another center, finding another classroom. But it doesn't have to come down to you leaving a field that you love so much, especially when you know that the impact that you make reverberates through generation after generation after generation. And you know that the work you do matters. And you know deep down that you're called to do this. What you need, my friend, is community. We were not called to do anything alone in this life. We are social creatures by nature. We are called to connect. We are human beings. We are human beings. We are not human doings. And in order to be a good teacher, you have to be in connection with other like minded teachers. You need someone to tell you you are doing a good job. You need someone to give you constructive feedback instead of constructive criticism, which there's really no such thing because it's dichotomous. Because to construct means to build up, to criticize means to tear down. You need constructive feedback. You don't need the critics, you don't need anybody tearing you down. You need people to give you feedback, to build you up. You need these safe spaces where you can grow as an educator because real growth does not happen in isolation. The only thing that happens in isolation is burnout. You need a place where you can have shared problem solving. You need a place where you can find encouragement and accountability. You need a place where you can learn from each other and not just sit there and learn from experts. Again, PD is not enough, and teaching in isolation is causing you to burn out. You need a community. And if you don't have one, we have a fabulous community. And the entire purpose of our community is to steward early childhood well. You know why COVID was so amazing for my children? Even though we all were isolated, you know why? Because I said no to isolation and I found myself a community. I got in a pod family with another mom and her children, and we said we were going to create our community bubble. And that was going to be our community because even in isolation, even in mandatory isolation, where the whole world is isolated because people are dying of a virus, I said, no, I still have to have community. And we made a schedule. She brought her kids to my house 2 days a week. I brought my kids to her house 3 days a week. And then we flipped. And I would bring my kids to her house for 3 days a week. She would bring her kids to my house for 2 days a week. And we shared the teaching responsibilities. We shared the cooking responsibilities. And listen, the kids loved it. My kids loved, and her kids loved. They still talk about their COVID time and how much fun they have. Was it stressful for us? Absolutely. Did we have all the feelings and anxieties and all the things that all other adults had? Absolutely. But you know what we did have? We had each other. And oh, to sip a cup of coffee on her couch after a long day of online schooling and monitoring the kids to just say, I'm exhausted. And for her to say, girl, I see you. Or for my kids to come back and talk to me about what craft they did at her house. And for me to say, girl, that craft you did with them was amazing. We had community. COVID didn't break me or my children because we had community. You cannot do this alone. You got to find a space where there are like minded individuals pouring into you on a daily basis, where you can pour into others, where we can continue to steward early childhood well, because you only get one chance to be two. You only get one chance to be three. And it is our responsibility as early childhood educators to ensure that our students and our families get the best education possible in spite of whatever is happening in the world. And you cannot do that alone. All that to say, you need community. Isolation is burning you out, and contemplating leaving a field that you are called to be in, that you are making a major impact in, all because you are trying to do it alone. You cannot do it alone. Listen, maybe your center is not the right place to be. Maybe you're not in the right grade level. Maybe you're not around the right people, but you know this, you know you're called to teach. And you know you're called to change the lives of our youngest learners, and you cannot do that alone. If you found value in this video, be sure to like and subscribe and join our community where we are building compassionate and confident educators together. I'll see you in the next video.